Hey everybody, all set? Good afternoon. I'm Pinellas County Sheriff Bob Gualtieri, and since March 24th, there have been 3 separate incidents on Alderman Road, east of US 19 in Palm Harbor, where an unknown male suspect has stalked and then touched a female, all with sexual overtones. The most recent attack occurred on this past Friday involving a 12-year-old girl. And what I'm going to do is run through the various incidents with you and then tell you where we are. The first incident occurred on March 24th, which is a Tuesday, where a 16-year-old female who attends Palm Harbor University High School was out jogging. She lives in the Cobb's Landing area off of Alderman Road, and she was jogging in the area originally of Carwise Middle School, which is right there at Bentley Drive in Alderman Road. She jogs 3 to 4 times a week, and she usually uses the same route every time she jogs. While she was out on that day, she saw a white male riding a black BMX bicycle, and he caught her attention because he appeared to be staring at her as she was jogging. She lost sight of him for a minute and then saw him again standing next to his bicycle at Shoreline Drive in Alderman, which is just north of Carwise Middle School. He then rode past her and was out of sight. The next thing to happen was at the intersection of Alderman and Cinnamon Hill Boulevard, which is just to the east of US 19. The suspect rode up behind the 16-year-old girl as she was jogging and grabbed her left breast. And as he was holding on to her breast for several seconds, he lost his balance and fell to the ground. After he fell, he got up and got on his bike and rode off. The next incident happened on Saturday, April 4th, and there was a 41-year-old female who was out jogging, and she was westbound on Alderman Road near Cinnamon Hill Boulevard. As she went past a row of bushes, this same suspect jumped out of the bushes and grabbed her running shorts and tried to pull them down. The victim struck out with her hands and attempted to kick the suspect, causing him to fall to the ground, lose his balance. He fell to the ground. He then ran eastbound on Alderman Road. The victim recalled after the incident occurred that she had just seen him several minutes before riding this black BMX bicycle on Alderman Road. On Sunday, April 12th, the victim from the first incident on March 24th was again out for a run, and she saw the suspect as he was leaving the Bentley at Cobb's Landing apartment complex, which is on Bentley Drive right across the street from Carwise Middle School. She doesn't believe that the suspect saw her, but she clearly saw him, and he was riding his BMX bicycle. And he went eastbound towards Alderman Road, and she lost sight of him at that point. Unfortunately, for whatever the reason, she did not call us and didn't let us know about that until well after she had seen him on that day. On this past Friday, the situation changed, I think, pretty significantly from my perspective, because he has now taken his actions toward a 12-year-old girl. And what happened on this past Friday at about 4:10 p.m., and Carwise Middle School gets out at 4 o'clock. And the kids who walk, and the walking distance is about a 2-mile radius from the school, and this girl, 12 years old, got out and she was walking home. And as she was walking again near the intersection of Alderman and Cinnamon Hill Boulevard, she saw the suspect riding his black BMX bicycle. He was riding back and forth past her and caught her attention. He then came up and approached her, and he lifted up her skirt of this 12-year-old and grabbed her buttocks. The girl was startled, of course, afraid, scared, and she ran, and he left the area. So this is, again, the third incident now, the most recent one this past Friday, and of most concern is it now involves a 12-year-old. The suspect is described as a white male. Age range is somewhere between 18 and 30 years old, 5'7", 170 pounds. During the first 2 incidents and during the April 12th sighting at the apartment complex, he had longer, shaggy, as it's described, collar-length hair. At Friday's incident, his hair was now much shorter, and it appeared to be more blonde than brown. As you can see up here, we have composites of the suspect, but please note that these are composites. These are not photographs, and they are based upon the victim's best information that they can give us as far as what this suspect looks like. The commonality between the victims is that they are all petite females with brown hair, and all at the time of the incidents were wearing their hair in ponytails. While their age range varies from 12 to 41, their physical description is the same. During the first two incidents and the April 12th sighting, the suspect was wearing black long pants, a black shirt, and black sneakers. On Friday, at the time of that incident, he was wearing a white T-shirt and black basketball shorts. So Friday's incident is a little bit different from what he was wearing. But in all the incidents, he was on a black BMX bicycle. Again, we have a photograph of one up here, and based upon the victim's descriptions and the victim's viewing this, they say that is the type of bicycle that he is riding. We believe that the suspect likely lives in the area and that someone knows him. You know, when we make decisions about putting this information out, it's not done lightly. It is done trying to balance not causing alarm in the area, but at the same time informing the public so that they can be cautious, and they, especially in this case, is that parents can make the right decisions as far as their kids and as far as transportation to and from school. Up until this point, the investigation and the investigative techniques that we have used have been using undercover law enforcement personnel. And we've had undercover law enforcement personnel conducting surveillances literally hundreds of hours in that area since the first incident occurred. But again, this incident changed, and the complexion of this incident changed on Friday for me when he now attacked this 12-year-old. We've also had, in addition to surveillances, we've also used undercover female deputies covered by and monitored by other law enforcement personnel, jogging in the area, trying to draw him out using the same patterns and routes that the victims used. But again, all of that was unsuccessful, and things changed on Friday. So I believe now, given the fact that he has targeted a 12-year-old who was walking home from school, that it is proper and it is necessary through the media's help and other means to notify the residents of that area, and especially the parents, so they can make good decisions about their children's transportation. We've conducted many neighborhood canvasses. We've been in contact with the management at the Bentley Cobb's Landing apartment complex and other businesses in the area. Again, so far to no avail in identifying who this is. Again, I believe he probably lives in the area, and hopefully with this composite sketch and the description of the bicycle, someone knows him. We're asking that anybody that may have any information as to who the suspect is, call Detective Diana Bergman at 582-5713, or the main number for the Sheriff's Office of 582-6200. And I've been in contact over the weekend and today with Dr. Mike Rego, the Superintendent of Schools, and with Chief Rick Stelgis from the Pinellas County Schools Police Department, who's here with me. And I also want the public to know that the Sheriff's Office and the Schools Police Department and the Superintendent's Office are working very collaboratively in this, and we're taking great steps to ensure that the kids who are walking to and from school from Carwise and all the kids in that area will be safe. We have stepped up very significantly the patrols, and every day in the morning and especially in the afternoon. All of these incidents have occurred in the afternoon, that you'll see very, very heightened law enforcement and uniformed law enforcement presence during the time in the afternoon when these kids get out of school and that they're walking home. Our number one concern is that the kids are safe and that they can walk to and from school safely. And we are using all the resources available to us and the Schools Police Department to ensure that happens, and we're committed to it. I'll also be sending out this afternoon a call to the residents of the area, informing them of this, because I think we're obligated to do that at this point. And again, it's a balance between not causing alarm, but he does seem to be escalating, and especially of concern to me now again is the fact that he's targeting a young 12-year-old. I believe that Dr. Grego is going to have the principal also send out phone calls to all of the parents of the kids who attend Carwise so that they know about this incidents and can again make the best decisions for their kids. But people should know that all the resources the Sheriff's Office has are being committed to trying to identify who this person is. We'll be going more overt now and putting up flyers and contacting businesses and changing the way we're conducting this investigation and asking for the public's help in identifying this person. He lives in the area. It's somebody that somebody knows, and we need to get him off the street. We certainly don't want to have anybody hurt because of what he's doing. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I know Chief Stelgis is here from the school's police department, and happy to answer any questions that you have.
I just have one, and that is the apartment complex seems key in all of this. Does it appear that he has been coming in and out of the apartment complex?
It's only one time, and that was on April 12th, that he was seen coming out of the apartment complex. And of course, you know, we've been in touch with the management and done canvasses within the apartment complex. And best we can tell, you know, we don't know whether he lives in there or not. So it's only that one time on April 12th that you've seen coming out of the apartment complex. The common denominator to this is that area around Carwise Middle School, around Bentley Drive. And again, the first girl, when she first saw him, was by Carwise Middle School. On the 12th, she sees him again coming out of the apartment complex. And so it's in that area that he keeps frequenting and is seen, is around Carwise. And then, of course, on Friday's incident, that little 12-year-old is that she was coming home from Carwise. So it's definitely in that area of Bentley Drive, north up to Alderman, and by that church that's on Alderman at St. Luke's is the church up there, which is at Cinnamon Hill Boulevard, roughly, in Alderman Road. So everything, seems right now, it seems to be contained within that area. So,
what would he be charged with? I mean, obviously this guy's in the vernacular a creep, but what sort of charges is he?
Well, at a minimum, for Friday's incident, it'd be a second-degree felony for lewd and lascivious behavior on a child under 16. And we're looking at other charges, and depends upon perhaps attempted sexual battery, a variety of felony charges we're looking at. But as you said, the guy's a creep, and we need to get him off the street. And you know, my biggest concern right now is we get him in custody, and we'll place the appropriate charges. But you know, on the young girl, the 16-year-old, you know, when he grabs her breast, and the other woman who he's trying to pull her pants down, and now he's walking up to a 12-year-old, lifting her skirt up and grabbing her on the butt. It's not going in the right direction. So, but at a minimum, it'd be some felony charges along the lines of lewd and lascivious in the presence of a child under 16.
Is there any discussion? Does he talk with him?
Yeah, he doesn't. On Friday, he laughed a little bit as he grabbed her, and but no discussion, no anything. It's just you know, he comes up and does what he does. He's stalking them, you know, and he's watching them. And you know, a couple of the victims, their attention was drawn to him, and he you know, he's got to know that they're concerned by the way they're looking at him as well. So, but no discussion, no conversation, no, you know, anything. It's just he does what he does and then leaves. You know, we had the first one. It was kind of, you know, with the 16-year-old, because he grabbed her breast, she fell to the ground, he gets up on the bike and rides off. You know, you kind of wonder. But now, again, with where we are and just going up to that 12-year-old and lifting her skirt up, that's a problem.
Chief, still just maybe this is for you. Would you advise Carwise parents to walk their kids to school? I know a lot of them probably are not escorted in the mornings and the afternoon.
That is correct. We've actually sent out a school messenger phone message to all the parents, asking them to review the processes that they use to send their kids to school and on their way home. So, you know, in pairs, try to, you know, drop them off, relook at their plans for the safety at this time.
This is kind of an unprecedented sort of response, and both of you can deal with this. A guy who's just, you know, hasn't done anything super huge, but I mean, this is getting this before it's escalated, before it goes any further, I guess, is your hope.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and that's why we're doing it. And you know, had to make a decision to kind of change the direction of the investigation, shift gears with it. But when it went to a 12-year-old, and he's willing to approach a 12-year-old, lift her skirt up and grab her on the rear end, it's time to let people know about it, because they need to be able to make what they feel are the best decisions for their kids. Like you said, we're going to step up, and we're going to have such an increased law enforcement presence in that area. But I think it's right. I feel that it's the right thing for parents to know what's going on so that they can make the decision. So, it's a judgment call. I don't want to cause, undue alarm to people, but I think people really need to know about this. And that's why for the first couple, we handled it a little bit differently, and we're trying to do it more covertly and with surveillance and trying to identify them that way. But it's a game changer now, and the worst thing that could happen, I think, is that people aren't informed, they aren't able to make the decision, and God forbid something happens, and they should know about it. So I don't want that to occur.
Would it be your concern that this would make him just kind of curl into a ball and hide for a while, knowing that there's an increased presence out there?
It does, but I don't care at this point, because I think there's enough people out there that, with this description and the composite and the bike, that they'll come forward. And obviously, I want to get this guy in custody. Obviously, I want to see charges that can be sustained and prosecutable against him. But the number one concern that I have is for the safety of the kids. And so if it means, and that's one of the reasons why we handled it differently in the early stages, what we thought would be doing it in a reasonable way and a safe way, but would allow us to identify who this person was. It probably will make it harder in some respects. We're not going to be able to do it through undercover activity, and now that this is out, it probably will cause him to recoil some. But that's okay, but that's why we need the public's help, and this is where the public can step up and step in and help us to identify them. So that was definitely a thought and a consideration, but I think that the need for protecting the kids overrides that.
When did the additional patrols begin?
This morning.
Today.
This morning. And you go out there this afternoon, and you'll see a lot of cops out there this afternoon, because we want people to feel safe. Chief, did you want to add anything?
No, actually, I think the sheriff said it best. I mean, the issue of the danger to another young lady out there is just not something that we could to let go. So I think getting it out, I'm hoping that with the composites and so forth, that one of the students, one of the parents, somebody out there in our public today is going to look at this and say, hey, that might be so-and-so, and we'll come forward, and there we can get him off the street.
All right, thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. Thank you.